podcast with Wade on it. Super lit, it's a wave, homie. Hot topics to current events, it's going down. But is you smoking crack now? He call you out if you wildin'. Special guests, we vibin'. All the jokes will always have you smiling. My dog for life, I'm riding. Sigma man for the community. Hold it down for like you and me. Ain't with the beef, it's all unity. New wave on it, Wade on it. Hold up, my nigga, you know it's Wade on it.
From the bottom, yeah, I'm here now. I got it off the mud, they should.
All right, man. Welcome to the Wade on It podcast culture series. It's part 1. I am your host, Jarrell Wade, and moderator of this bunch of intellectual. Is that right? Okay, we're gonna say that. Intellects. Start off by introducing everybody that's on this panel tonight. I'm gonna start off with WadeOnIt. Gotta get that name out there. Adegbate, gotta get that out of there. Engineer. I like to call him an activist. I'm gonna call him that. I'm gonna call him an activist tonight for what he's gonna be telling y'all tonight. Patrick Russell, owner of Barbershop Atlanta in the airport, one of the few Black-owned barbershops in the United States, in the major airports, and also a consultant in the healthcare industry. Welcome, my brother. Welcome. T-Baby, also in the healthcare industry. Has many hats. Host,
acting.
She does it all.
Sing.
Am I missing anything? Okay.
I do everything.
Okay. All right. And last but not least, we got Remy Easton. Pretty much just an overall entrepreneur. Owns his own cell phone company. Connected Wireless. Am I saying it right? Connected Wireless. Yeah. Connected Wireless. I don't want to give too much away from you, as we talked earlier. But tonight, man, we're gonna talk about a couple different topics, break them down. Hopefully you have a pen and pad ready to write some of this information down, because it will be recorded, we'll be posted in the group, we'll be posted on the YouTube page for us. And like I said, don't forget to hit the subscribe alert on YouTube. We definitely have 3 more parts coming to this, so it's gonna be great. It's gonna be a great month. And by the way, Black History Month. Happy Black History Month, everybody. How y'all doing?
Yeah, we are.
Hold up the pound. Okay.
Kanye says Black Future Month.
All right. Well, let's get into it. We're gonna dive off into something pretty heavy. I think it's pretty heavy, and we're gonna talk about where we came from. Basically, we're going to the past on this first part. So we're gonna start with talking about the structure of the Black family and how that dynamic was in the past and how it is kind of, transitioned to now. I'm gonna go to my activist first. Am I saying that right?
Oh man!
I'll give your thoughts on that. I know you had a lot to say on our pregame show. So
yeah, I guess starting off the right way. Are we staying in the 1900s? I just want to make sure
we can stay there. We can stay there because I know it's a lot to cover. Definitely can reference back, but just
okay. Well, I guess starting it off. Talking about as far as the structure of the Black family, a lot of, I guess, as most folks know, man, I read a lot of books, man. So, like Kevin Gates said, man, I know a little bit about a lot. But for me personally, just reading back from, the Industrial Revolution days from early 1900s on, I think when it comes to the structure of the Black family, a lot of people have to realize that the concept of family was probably one of the main courses that kept us in the progressive movement. The things that we preached and things we talked about, even based in the church-based environment, if we go back to the earlier days, the church is probably the most important aspect of the culture. When people met up for marches and everything else like that, they met at the church first. So going back in different places, I'm not trying to really mix religion with it, but I guess if we're going from the time then and going to the time now, I think the aspect of the family structure has been broken down dynamically based off many different reasons. We can't say it's just racial. We can't say systematic things, but we have to take accountability for some of the substance we put in our community also that has broken away from the family. I must stop right there and kind of pass to my boy Remy. So we kind of get inside of that real quick, because we kind of had a little debate going earlier about it, but that's my spiel on it right now.
In some instances, I definitely agree. I think media is the outlet used to kind of separate us and actually put us, I guess, the man and the woman, black man, black women, into a gender war per se, that wasn't really prevalent or even present in the 1960s, 70s, 80s, 50s, 30s. But it definitely is a class level. It's also systematic as well. The Black family funded the civil rights movement. Those people stayed off the bus for 865 days. And the way that they were able to stay off the bus for 865 days, because the women walked with women. The Atlantic bus company, which was a black bus company, transported the men who had to go work at the steam mills and the factories to go to work. But everybody stuck together. They packed lunches and they stayed off the bus, and it crippled the white transportation community to the point where they didn't know what to do. So we've always been the highest consumers on the globe. We have $1.7 trillion in spending every year, and it's been like that since post-Reconstruction. We never really lost our buying power, but we never had any, when the integration happened, we never kind of set up a full infrastructure that was kind of tailored to our interests. And whenever we did, then we had, I think it was 109 different massacres, black massacres that happened over this country, like Lake Lanier, Tulsa, other instances where the Harlem fires, the Detroit fires, not the ones after they killed King, but there were some prior to that. That whenever we tried to create an institution for us, a woman was whistled at, somebody got raped, white woman went missing. So since that happened, we just go, they took the instance and set everything on fire. But the objective was never to prosecute or to find whatever so mishap to the white person. It was just, they cannot have money circulating in their community. The black dollar stays in the black community for 30 minutes. In the Jewish community, the Jewish dollar stays in the Jewish community 18 days. The Asian community, it stays in there months. So they call us liquid money. It pours in one hand and goes into the other. The second hand is just not our hand. So
I want to cut you off, Remy. I know you can keep going. Let me get T baby T. Your initial thoughts on the black family dynamic in the past.
I think we had a stronger black family dynamic back then because that's all we had. Like we didn't have any outside, connections. It was, we were the family and that's it. Now, a lot of people just venture off and they do what they do. They don't, too much concern themselves with the family. And I just believe that when you don't have outsiders in, then it can stay a family unit. It can be strong, but we've just let so much come into the family foundation that family's not important anymore. It's not a priority like it used to be back then because that's all we had. So it's like everybody can do. I can do it myself now. I don't need family. I don't need this person. I don't need that person. Everybody wants to be self-made now. It's a thing now. Back then, it wasn't a thing to be self-made. It was, you were pride upon being with your family. You don't see that dynamic now. And I just think we Black people have moved far from, we're trying to get back there a little bit, but I don't think it's a priority at this point anymore. You can see how it has changed from generation to generation. We don't set up for the next generation to be wealthy. Somebody got to lay down in order for the other ones to walk across. And we don't carry that dynamic like we used to. And I think that's the problem. We don't put family as a priority anymore. So yeah, the family dynamic has greatly switched. It's just not there.
Pat, let me go and get you in there, man.
They hit on some good points. I'm a literal person, so I look at like words and how they then are, placed upon us to then create division. So we just talk about structure. The definition of structure is the arrangement of and relations between the parts or elements of something complex. So to T-Baby's point, I agree. Like, think about where we came post-slavery, but pre-industrial revolution. So all we knew is to unite through identifying with what the struggle was. The struggle was trying to stay alive, but also trying to protect, my tribe, my community, my extensions of my family, to make sure that if anything's to happen to me, they're taken care of. There was a sense of pride in being a man. There was a sense of understanding like there's a plight against us, but they took upon those principles to lay down their lives to fight for us to have the positions that we have now. T-Baby's another point that T-Baby made was just kind of like distractions. Remy also alluded to it a little bit earlier too, just like manipulation. And I just want to stay with where we are in regards to talking about 1900. So pre where we are now, we understood like who was our adversary because we knew that they studied us. Like they knew that they had a blueprint to manipulate us to stay, divisive. 250 years later, we're still having struggles that they know that we would have. We talk about Willie Lynch and the syndrome that then plagues our community now. We'll talk about it a little bit more in depth moving forward. But just to finalize my last point, we're talking about the structure, like understanding like the roles, and those roles are now being manipulated because people have attached themselves to other labels that we'll actually dive into a little bit further down in the actual discussion. But man, these labels are plaguing to our community because you then start to put those labels and those struggles that are attached to those labels upon above your own struggles. Like I'm a black
for your
man.
nationality.
I'm a black man first, so I wake up every day to fight the struggles of a black man, even though I have to hear the struggles of my black counterpart, the black woman, to make her life easier. So we'll get to those points too a little later in the conversation, but definitely wanted to go ahead and try to wrap this thing up to move to the next point. But essentially, everybody spoke on truth, and that's really where we're trying to move this conversation.
Okay. What would you say? I know everybody said their initial point. What would you say would be the number one reason that each one of y'all would think dynamic of family has changed? I know everybody hit on something a little different. Everybody brought something a little different to the table when they spoke. But what consensus can we come to a consensus that could be like the number one reason that we all think the dynamic changed? Remy, you want to? Remy,
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The art of war. Kill the men, save the women and children. The FBI came out with the TheCulture report, and that was an operation set after they killed Fred Hammond, and killed King. They said we must take the black man out. He is essential to the black family. We must remove him from the black family, and it's been the art of war since Alexander the Great conquered Egypt. If there is no man, there is no fight. And if I impregnate the woman, then the bastard son and the child that belongs to me will do what I say.
Mm-hmm.
This has been changed into a mentality. I build the woman up to make her think that she doesn't need the man. I educate her in my ways to run my corporations, which is my application to war. I usurp the power of the man, so then said woman will demasculate said man, and then I devalue him. So now he doesn't feel like he has a fight, and then he will get out in the world and have to fight, because you, as a black man, when you walk out the door in the morning, you're at war. You can't ride down the street. You can't get loud. You can't voice your masculinity. You're just in trouble because this country was built off of clans, meaning families. If you notice, if you follow the money, you got the Rockefellers, you got the Bushes, you got the DuPonts. All those are clans. All those are families, like on the show Highlander, like Duncan MacLeod, and he was part of the MacLeod family. Well, the structure is by the leading man. There was a chief, or there was a king, or there was, and don't get me wrong, there have been very powerful queens in our scope of our history. But in the game of chess, when the king falls, the game is over. But those pawns are the children. If I get those pawns to the other end of the board, they can become whatever I want them to be. But once I empower this queen, then she can yet move across the entire board and do whatever I need her to do. So now we tried the castle, but the castle was a fictitious home. Be it the drugs, because we weren't at Vietnam. All those things that we thought we were doing for a chivalrous or a patriot type apathy, then changed to something to hurt the man. Now we raise the woman up. Section 8.
Food stamps,
affordable housing.
Mm-hmm.
She gonna take care of kids before she be worried about the nigga. And I use that term because that's a term that we use in endearment, but it also carries several layers of appropriation in the Anglo-Saxon agenda. Just like WIC, women, infants, and children. The Black Panthers started that. That was because most of the men were incarcerated and we got to feed these babies. But there was a militant mindset rallied by a cause to show, hey, we're going to protect the family because it's not enough men to protect. And we have to show an example. So when these women that are raising these boys, they can become men, because if they don't have a masculine example, then how are they going to protect once they get old enough?
Okay, Remy, respond to that. I know, you want to jump in.
Response to that. All right, so now we get into it. So all right, so basically what I'm picking back what Remy said. Some of the stuff he said is actually true. Xerox actually did that back in the 70s. They actually started firing the black males and hiring black men, and well, not black men, black women and white women. So they were actually taking jobs from individuals back then to actually perpetuate a higher standard for the woman and the family. They thought it would bring a balance in financial ability, but actually what it did, it was kind of destroy families. So back to what he said about the earlier point. The issue that we don't have, I would say what hurts the black family, there's no standard. So when it came from the 1900s up to maybe 1940, 1950, there was a certain standard, but the standard was struggle. So people were trying to survive. Let's be honest, people was probably living to maybe 35, 45 years old, if you want to talk about health risk wise. So going on top of that, you have 1960s coming on. And 1960s coming on, you got the Industrial Revolution, you got automation. Automation was the biggest thing that messed up the whole black family. Now, the factory jobs are gone. The steel jobs are gone. What else happened during the time? Steel jobs, automated consumer goods, all the labor-intensive jobs got replaced by automation. So what happened is you take those people back home, they have nothing. So when you can't support your family, the first thing your mind is going to go to is how to survive all over again. So now you're seeing other people and other families working. You have other races, nations. That's when Asians started coming over to America, maybe early 1910s and 20s. What happened with them? They became the immigrant white standard. So what happened was when they came over, the Asians, you have Indians, You have Black people who, at the time, still going through what we got. So even during that time, we had a certain, like you said, the Black Panther Party. It introduced a militant style standardization for the families. When you have a certain kind of standard for your family, you would know how to move, you would know how to progress. So what happened as time went on, if these men ain't got no jobs and can't provide, the standards start going away. So at the end of the day, somebody has to pick up that slack. Now, what happens is when you ain't got no job, where are you going to go to? You're going to go to crime. You're going to figure out some way to survive because that's just human nature. The first habit of human nature is you're going to do self-preservation. You're going to find some way to survive somehow, some way. So as time goes on, you realize, you look at the family, you ask what happened. I would say personally, the biggest thing that we lost, that we can sit here and say certain things about, okay, this is what happened. The white people did this, white people did it. But if we know the art of war, we should have been studying what was happening to us. A lot of times, granted, we didn't have the time to, but you're dealing with somebody who thinks 15, 20, 30 years in the future. That's what's going on right now. The things that we're experiencing right now was talked about in 2001. So what was happening in 1970 was people was planning for 1995. So what's going on right now was pre-planned, but we didn't have enough time, enough education, and enough struggle to actually plan for the future. So we were just trying to make something happen,
Those of us that thought about it were killed.
Well, some of them were killed.
No.
Some of them,
all of them were killed.
No. Let me tell you what happened.
Let him finish.
Let me tell you what happened. When it comes to elite Black people, when it comes to society, they say it's about 1 every 10,000 of us. And if you look what's happening today, even when we was kids, what happened to that one special kid out of the 10,000 of us? They plucked his ass out of that society and put him somewhere else. They took him to a magnet school, they took him to a research program, and you've never seen him again. So what happened was, even during that time, even though people were getting killed, they took some of our best and brightest and moved them over to white communities. They integrated them in different ways. If you want to bring up certain names, I can give you 20 different names. They took them from poor Black places from South Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia. They took people from even Texas. They moved some of them to Wisconsin. They moved them to San Bernardino, California. They moved some of them to Jersey. They moved a lot of them up north. So what happened was, you take these smart kids, you take these genius kids, they know what their mind is. Everything is mentalism. You take a person who can think, now you can do so much with the individual and train him how to think, you can get over everything. Because at the end of the day, if I can teach you and tell you what to think, and you cannot teach these other Black people how to think, I control everything. So when we talk about today and the issues that are going right now, a lot of Black people can't think for themselves. But if they keep picking all the special kids out, who are the free thinkers and putting them somewhere else to benefit financially, you're going to deal with a whole group of individuals who cannot think, who are just going to follow each other. That's what we got now. It's 2022. So many Black people look the same as everybody else. Why do you think people are following each other? There's no more abstract thinking. Well, it is abstract thinking, but people look at them like they're crazy.
Like, let's talk about our brother Kanye. Everybody looking at him crazy.
But you can't wave your hand at Kanye. Kanye went from 53 million in debt to 10 billion. Money you can say about Ye.
But Remy, it's not about money. Money's just
How is it not about money? That's what it's about.
Listen, money is just energy. Money is not mental. Listen, a dumb person can be at the right place at the right time and become a millionaire. You see this shit every fucking day.
But $1 million is not any money, bro.
But he's not doing it by himself. You have a team. I can be the face and you can be the brains. You can be anything I want to be, and I can just be the face because I'm popular. I can sit here and say the stupidest thing in the world and have 20 different lawyers behind me who know how to regulate plans and do prosper and know how to push deals to make me $50 billion. They're gonna say,
and that's how white people market to the Black community.
Everybody markets to us with the highest consumers, like a trillion. Listen.
Wait, Remy, before you get going, let me get Pat. Pat, what you had to say?
Go ahead, Pat. I was asking, what was the question? What was the question? What was the question?
We were looking for the one point or one thing that pretty much was destroying the Black family. That one thing y'all can come to a consensus or agreement.
Y'all told me not to go back to a period that is so dark for us, but basically what y'all continue to allude to is the residual effects of slavery. So that buck breaking mentality, bro, like that is real.
I was trying not to talk about that yet.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest tonight, and I'm not gonna hold nothing back. Like that buck breaking mentality in regards to we're gonna take the strongest, most masculine African strong buck, and we're gonna break him down in front of the whole slavery plantation, so therefore they can see that who's in control. That mindset, along with, guess what? You see COINTELPRO, you see Negative Evers get whacked, you see Fred Hampton get whacked, you see Malcolm Martin, you see the riots that took place. You saw the young lady that broke the barrier in Alabama to go to school, and then they were bombing churches.
Yeah, 8 girls got killed.
Impressionable. So you're talking about like impressions that are left upon kids that are now probably our grandparents, our great grandparents. Guess what? That's only two lifetimes ago.
Bro, my grandma was born in 1920, so it wasn't even
exactly. So at that point, we're talking about we're still living through demons and nightmares that we're trying to assess, and we're also looking at, you know what? There's resources out here for us, but they have the game. To Bio's point, they've created the game for us to always be at a negative, at a default. So you have to be strategic and conscientious about the moves you're trying to make, but also understand like you're at a disadvantage.
Always we don't protect our gangsters.
But no, I mean we see that, but there's also this. We don't protect. We don't rally behind the individuals at the right time. Like, why are we trying to get Larry Hoover out of jail now, and he's been in jail what, 50 years? I mean, I understand.
Nipsey was the person we should have protected.
I mean, we're gonna get into that. We're gonna get into that. But I'm speaking on regards to like the leaders of our parents' generation who are either incarcerated, still alive, and not active because why? The Jesus principle. They knew if I get out here and lead this campaign on the front line, I then have to surrender and sacrifice my life.
Yeah.
Got that buck breaking mentality. Say, you know what? Do I really want to sacrifice myself for my people when I see my people keep falling for the same tricks? The same tricks that make the capitalist movement in this country move how it moves and how we continue to be the top consumers.
Let me ask you a question right quick, Pat. You think Meech is still in prison because of the dope or because of what he represented?
Influence. It's influence. It's influence. He's too influential. He's too influential for him to be a free man. That's too much power.
The point I'm gonna add on to that. The point of what I would say is this: we could talk about our leaders right now. The issue that we have is the media influence. There are a lot of Black, influential, economically smart people who are still alive today that are not being recognized. That's why I gave people so many names that people know who the hell they were. When I talked about Reginald Lewis yesterday, that's the first Black billionaire in the 1987 who got a loan and raised money and did his own products and hired his own people, 300 people to be exact. We don't talk about none of these people. We can talk about oppression and pain and stuff all day, but there are people out here that we should have the balance of influence and pushing them up at the same time. You got people who just found out about Dr. Claude Anderson this year or last year. There have been Black major economics, but the problem that we have is the media influences and shows the wrong fucking people. And I think that's the biggest problem. And it created a sick ass culture that we have today, that we have an unbalanced thing and everything's about pain and trauma and drama. But there are people out here who are Black who actually can change the state if we put the right finances behind them and the right influence behind them. Because at the end of the day, let's kill Kanye West out of there. Let's just use Claude Anderson since that's more famous right now. He should have 15 million followers on Instagram. These are the people that we should be going to pay to see. Right now, me and you, Pat, we talked about seeing Jordan Peterson. Them tickets like $85 or $150 go see Jordan Peterson. He's a white man. He's an abstract thinking. He's smart. There are so many Black men who are just like him and Black women who are just like Valerie Thomas. Valerie Thomas is 65 years old. One of the smartest Black ladies in the world. Worked for NASA. An intellectual. Created the illusion theory. Nobody knows who the fuck Valerie Thomas is. So when I say these certain things, it's not really on us because we don't control the media. But at the same time, I tell people all the time, if you want to uplift the Black community and fix certain things, you're going to have to read it. Because one thing billionaires always leave, they leave books. And that's the thing that people don't realize. And the reason why they'll leave all their secrets in the books. And you know why they do that? Because they know a lot of people won't do the hard work it takes to actually get successful. So at the end of the day, when a billionaire dies, nobody remembers their money. When Steve Jobs dies, what do we talk about? The iPhone. We talk about the things they leave and the work they're doing. So the last point I'm about to make, and almost done, is that we have to figure out the structural balance and uplift the Black people who are actually doing positive things for the community. Yes, they're going to kill people. People been dying all over the goddamn world. If we want to talk about tomorrow, I can go there for days. I ain't gonna go there. But the point of what I'm saying is this. We can talk about the trauma, oppression, and people who've died, but we have to stop ignoring the people that are still alive today that are actually can move a lot of the shit forward. But we have to get rid of the people that's on the front line that are representing shit that they don't know what the hell they're talking about. We got way too many people out there got stuff talking about they don't know what the hell they're talking about. No offense to T.I., I love him. We all had trap music. He can't say fuck America, America ain't shit, but you made money off trap music. You became a millionaire off hip hop, something that's a consumer rate around the whole world. You're successful. You're not 89% of white men don't live like him. You know what I'm saying? You have more money than 89% of white men. So at the end of the day, the people who should really talk to the people who know the economic standards of how to move Black people forward with topics and situations that get people away from this trash.
Well,
I don't want to talk about
Killer Mike talked about that. Killer Mike talked about that. And it was one interview. He was at a church. And I'm about to say something that's very controversial.
I'm waiting.
I'm definitely with the scholars. I'm definitely with all of that. But we need people that's gonna blow some shit up. You might not agree, and I'm subject to my own opinion.
This is interesting.
But the United States, when they don't like somebody doing something, they don't like what they doing, what they do. They go blow some shit up.
You don't mean like physically and literally blow some shit up.
Well, I don't necessarily mean. Listen, I don't necessarily mean blow some shit up, but
take money out of their mouth.
White people show you how they play. Like when Paula Deen said the word nigga, all her stuff went on sale at Walmart because they were scared that the Black people were going to stop going to shop. Mm-hmm. This was 10 years ago. Now they got us such in a headlock like this. They do what they want to do because they know we don't have nowhere else to go. No,
he's actually right. I mean, America does flex its power. I mean, one perfect example.
There's a movie called Gangs of New York. Mm-hmm. And they show you how the beginning stages of this country was built, how white gangs built this country. The mob is now one of the they changed clothes. Now they own the casinos and this, that, and the third. But every time we have a crew infrastructure, the gangs, the fraternities, it always turns into either one is going to commit a crime on the standards of the United States, or one is going to sell out, like the fraternities and sororities. We don't have a militant mindset to, by any means necessary anymore, and that's the only way that you're going to protect the money. Okay. The Chinese come here and they open a business, even though they might send their kids to school to be doctors and lawyers. They're going to work that Chinese restaurant. And if the Chinese owners, the parents, they get sick, then those kids will stop being doctors and lawyers and come run that restaurant. We don't have anything like that. We used to. The Cosby Family and Different World, if we want to talk TV shows, those shows showed generational wealth. It showed family structure, and it also showed how that's why they attacked Bill Clinton so heavily. I mean, not Bill Clinton, Bill Cosby. I'm sorry, Bill Cosby, because of what he represented to our generation. Now there's no influence. Now there's no such thing.
All right.
And I'm gonna say this, and I'll be done. Before probably 2005, the Black man was the most feared human being on the planet. Whenever you would get on the elevator with a white lady, she'd clutch her purse. You know what I'm saying? Or 1970, when we had I'm Black and I'm Proud with the afros, we were nothing to be fucked with, to the point where they had to create a entire campaign to do something about the Black man. But really, the Black man didn't have any juice if he wasn't supported by the woman that was supporting him, the woman that was wiping his face, wiping the blood, giving the sweat, standing in front of him. You're not gonna kill my son. Let me cook you, baby. Let me cook you something to eat. Y'all been marching all day. They want us to think that we need to be codependent and we have to be interdependent, meaning there are things that a man can do and there are things that a woman can do, but they're just as important. And that's why that's what's hurting the Black family.
Pat or T Baby? No, T Baby been quiet. I don't know if you want to say something.
I agree with Remy. Like, we gotta stop like letting stuff pass. Like, I'm from Thomasville, Georgia. We had a couple of incidents with the police and Black men, and someone in my community, he was killed by the police officers. And the Black Panthers came down. They did a march, everything. It was, publicized, everything. And it was nice to see the support, but what we did not do, we weren't consistent. And white people know that Black people are not consistent. Yes, we will get out and we will rally and we will march and we'll fuss for about a good 2 weeks. And then everybody be like, fuck you, go back home, and they tend to whatever they got going on. Oh, I can't go out there tonight. I got this, that, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And that's when I come back to priority. We don't make families a priority anymore. They see that the Black man doesn't make the Black woman and his children a priority. So if they see that we don't make ourselves a priority, they're not going to make us a priority either. At all. So I don't understand what we marching and hollering is for stuff that we own anyways. It's ours.
So we don't need to do another march.
You don't see white people marching every time they get pissed off. Like Remy said, they go out and they blow up shit. We started blowing up shit, but we weren't consistent. And then when we started blowing up shit, we blowing up our own shit.
Well, it's kind of it.
I mean,
It was kind of backwards.
Yeah.
It's no reason George Zimmerman should still be alive.
Ooh, boy.
Okay. Wait, there it is. Pat, go ahead. I want to hear what you got to say.
Repeat the question.
Hey, man.
It takes 40 minutes to get me down. What's the question? Shit.
It's the same question.
I missed what Remy said. What did Remy say?
I said there's no reason that George Zimmerman is still alive.
Hello?
I mean,
at the end of the day, I have
we
to.
on the race that goes out and we march and we holler for what we want. I don't understand, why do we have to do that? We've been doing that for years and years and years and years. We should be past that. Can
I say one thing right fast?
Go ahead.
So LAPD has been known as the racist police department in the United States.
Okay.
They feared the Crips and the Bloods. Nipsey united the Crips and the Bloods. Not only did he unite the Crips and the Bloods, Jay-Z backed them. So now you have militancy backed with money, which is capitalism's infrastructure. This is how white people been doing it the whole time. So when that happened, they said, look, we got to kill this nigga, because they actually, that the week he got killed, he had a meeting with the LAPD with Rockefeller, with Jay-Z and his 42 attorneys, to talk about policing and the way that the Crips and the Bloods were going to be in a political space to be able to police their own communities. And at a certain proxy that the LAPD could not make arrests or do certain things, it was going to limit the LAPD, and they had the finances and the attorneys to back that with the courts and the systems. And that's and then the week of the meeting, Nipsey dies.
So let's bring it back.
Okay.
I'm listening to everybody talking. Basically what I'm hearing a lot of the Black man being taken out of the household. I'm hearing a lot of us not being pretty much down for the cause, basically. Just simplifying what you're saying. We're not willing to do what we have to do. We're not willing to go the extra mile to or sacrifice to further our cause. I'm trying to see T-Baby saying they don't believe that we're able to do that. The opposition, the ops, as you want to call them, could be white people, it could be more than white people. That's another time, another day. There's a lot that goes into it. I just really want to hear, Pat, do you agree with that? Those three things that I said? Is there something you want to add to it? Your thoughts?
No, I mean, I feel like they pretty much hit on all the points. We can move on to the next one. I mean, like, there's nothing really too much to add to that, because we already know, like, the condition and the state of our culture. We're here to just basically talk about these thoughts and continue to share dialect and dialogue to then move the conversation forward. So,
well, how many black women are raising sons that they would want to date?
whoa, that's a hell of a question. Loaded question. I ain't finna answer it either.
Wait. You can't get that.
That's all.
I mean, it has to do with the black man being taken out of the home.
But no, wait, time out, man. Hold on, man.
2 weeks ahead of us, brother.
Yeah. That's
one thing.
two.
No. So one thing to go about teabagging, a lot of things that we have to realize is that as a culture, we're very, very emotional, and I think what happens is a lot of upper and other classes know that Black people are very, very emotional. So when you talk about when things happen to us and how we respond to it, we don't respond to it in a structural way. We don't respond to it in an economic way. We respond to it based off emotions. And one thing about emotions always wear off. You never could be happy forever. You never could be sad forever. You never could be mad forever. So if I go out and terrorize, they tell you, let them do it for a week or two. They'll calm down. They'll be done. And once they're done, they move everything back to the. So why take these people serious when they're an emotional group of people and they're not thinking logical? You know what I'm saying? Destroying buildings and stuff like that, yeah, it makes a noise for a couple of days. But I promise you, what makes a bigger noise is what other people try to do is say, okay, let's move our money somewhere else. At the end of the day,
bingo.
We keep doing shit because as far as Black men, as much as we don't want to admit, we are white men. And the fucked up part about it is we can't look in the mirror and tell ourselves that. That's when we get a little bit of money, we try to look like something that we try to make of an image that we think what rich people or so quote unquote white people are supposed to look like. Let me give you a fake example. Well, let's say the NBA. Let's say every NBA player who ever got a contract, who got millions of dollars, every NBA player, he took his money, he took 30% of it, went back to where he grew up and fixed everything. Let's say he paid the mortgage off of every house in his neighborhood. And what if every player kept doing that for years?
Well, why would he do that?
No, let me finish. The point of what I'm saying is it's called economic movement. This money this white man is giving me, I keep pushing it back into my community. You know what's going to happen to their brains? They're like, okay, well, if it's kind of like this, Remy. If I'm going to give you $5,000 and I know you're going to spend $4,000 with my people, the money's coming back to me anyway.
That's what I'm saying. Like.
Wait. I know y'all want to dive.
My bad, go ahead.
But your example is actually going into next week.
Okay.
That's something we talk about next week. I know.
Hey.
I do want to.
I was ready.
I know. I do want to say. I see in the comments, Raymond said Nipsey was killed by crabs in the barrel mentality. I would say to retort back to that is, where did the crabs in the barrel mentality come from?
It came from us.
Nipsey wasn't killed by crabs in the barrel. That guy was planted.
But listen, though, a lot of people do say that. A lot of Black people say that. But where did that mentality come from? How was that formed in us?
It came from slavery.
It all goes back to that. What's
like every rapper that not every rapper, I'm just saying, but most rappers that do die, they end up dying in the place where they grew up, their community. And that means we getting jealous. They making too much money. We gotta come and we gotta get them. Bam. There we go.
All right. So let's go on to the next one. I want Pat to start this one off, bringing them in. We're gonna move on to the educational system. Segregation moving into integration. With our how we were taught our education from, I guess we're gonna stay in the 1900s, early 1900s. Middle 1900s. How has that educational system changed, or that dynamic changed from then to now?
Your thoughts on the educational infrastructure changed from basically right after slavery till now?
Mm-hmm.
It's kept the same MO and the same agenda, which is to hide the identity of African Americans as far as like where you actually come from and what your history is. So I feel like that's been consistent. I also feel like the systems that were set in place in regards to how they zoned off those school districts to then provide the funding for those schools in those areas that then were in proximity to the Anglo-Saxon areas, to those urban areas. Those also, they impacted the funding that basically reduced the educational values within our community. So you talk about the residual effects, like y'all gonna hear me say that a lot from slavery, like it trickles down into every facet of life. And it basically warps the mindset. So if you start with an impressionable early age in regards to like schooling them to then learn a history that is then basically falsified or whitewashed, it then presents a problem with regards to like identity and then understanding what true identity is. So you basically go to a school to be institutionalized, to then come out, to then be put into a system where you, like Remy said, you work for a company, you'll sell your time for money, or you'll try to escape that system and then end up in the probate system where you then become a person that then is often on probation or evading the law. So, I mean, you got a lot of different facets that are, impacted due to the systems at hand and the powers that be that created these systems that we then have to go through to, quote unquote, reach that successful American dream.
Question for you, Pat. I know you want to go, Remy. I got a question. And I this is just my own personal for me. HBCU. The importance of HBCUs. What do you think is the importance of those? Like, do you think that us being integrated into white universities kind of like set back us being, I guess, taught or educated about our own history? And I guess, I don't know, it just feels like we've lost a little bit being, going to different, being integrated. What do you think about that?
So your question is a two-part question. Like, what is my stance or what are my thoughts on HBCUs?
It could be HBCUs, regular middle schools, elementary school. I kind of used to use HBCUs because HBCUs have kind of, a lot of them lose funding, in today's time, but we can talk about that later. But just talk about even middle schools, high schools, integration, education.
We all know through integration, like, we sacrifice more of our like sufficient freedoms that we created on our own, like our own luxuries. Like, we always talk about how we were creating these communities that we were basically having everything in house. You had schools, you had courts, you had doctors, you had pharmacies, you had everything in house, and you sacrificed that because of an illusion that they then sold you on to then capture you and hold you in it. Like, we're in a headlock now because of what we then did with that actual agreement. So I don't think that there was really a lot of benefit to it. And I mean, I'm pretty sure my panelists be able to speak to some of it. But for me, in my opinion, I felt like we traded off more of who we were identifying to be and honestly our own cultures. Like, we traded them off to then be accepted by the masses.
I agree with that totally. And I know I did not attend the HBCU. I hate that I did not, but due to some unforeseen circumstances, I did not. And it is what it is. But I'm just like Pat, like we sacrificed all of that to be accepted, and we still didn't. I mean, we still get bashed for it. Like, it ain't no such thing as equality.
One more thing about when we talk about our resources being pulled to be accepted, you have to understand at the same time they pull funding from a lot of these schools also once integration happened. So when you had these private black schools in these different places, they weren't getting the money they needed to even stay open. So the kids were actually forced to start going to some of these integrated schools. Even though they was treated like trash there, the education system started affecting these kids also, because when you start seeing the decline of how important education was to black children, it started back in the 70s. Before the 70s, when we went to school, our biggest focuses were to be, once again, the STEM categories: science, technology, education, and mathematics, which is probably the most important things that's going to be moved on to the future anyway. So what happened was, you have these kids now going to these schools and now seeing things that they've never even experienced before or even had to talk about. Now the schools that we can even teach them are getting less and less funding. These schools are closing down. Now, certain parts that we say, the integration movement, it moved a lot of money, it moved a lot of resource, and it killed a lot of the mentalism again within the black community. And I feel like, and I tell everything goes back to the mind. Once you start affecting these black kids' minds, you start affecting them, they're adults. They're going to become adults. They're going to teach the same methods to their kids. We started teaching our kids that HBCUs were less than. Even me, myself, when I was in high school, my mom, she's from Nigeria. She didn't really know much about HBCUs, but she heard it was a black school. It's like, hey, listen, you go there, you're not gonna have opportunity. Not knowing opportunity these days come from networking, research, and knowing about a certain subject. But nobody really knew where the future was going. So all they knew was what they knew. So that's it. Everything is mental, it's mentalism. But I ain't gonna speak too much. I know Remy wanted to say something.
I mean, it's itching, boy. Itching.
To piggyback what Bale said, just a show of hands. Everybody might not have children, but you have cousins. You have cousins.
You said what now?
He was asking if folks had kids, and I was over here swinging at a gnat, and I'm like, I ain't got none. My bad.
But you have nieces, nephews, or you're associated with other young children, right?
For sure, yeah.
Okay. How many of those black children, when they play a video game, they read the directions?
I mean, depends on what the game is. Some of them do.
Okay.
I didn't.
Not many of them.
Nah. I mean, I would say it's a low percentage than those.
But if it's a game that they want, that they like to play, they pull it out that night. This Christmas Day. By the end of the day, by December 26th, they're going to be pretty far in the game, correct?
Oh yeah.
So I would definitely say that black children are born mechanically inclined. Home ec is no longer in schools. Shop is no longer in schools. We no longer from our generation a little bit prior, girls did hair in the kitchen. Like I remember being in high school and I could give me a fresh cornrow braid down between lunch and the period following lunch.
That's true.
We no longer we traded education for our freedom, and it was education in a system of things that are now useless. Like Bale said, the STEM category is very important, but these certain degrees that we have don't really amount to anything because they only are a catalyst to get you in the door to be able to have a job. But you have no skill, no labor if you want to leave that job. So you're gonna be making $17 an hour, invest in 401k, pay your health insurance, and then by the time you're living paycheck to paycheck for something after you do that for 30 years, you have no retirement because you don't have a skill.
Yeah.
And skills in the black family were after post Reconstruction, skills were passed down because after slavery, we were the only people who had skills.
Yep.
So that's why when we were in the Republican Party, that's why they took the $2 bill out of circulation, because the entire Republican Party that were all black, John Hanson included, that were on the back of the $2 bill, everybody was black. Because we had the money and we had the skills. That's where the name, like if your last name is Smith, somebody in your family was a blacksmith. You know, you got to follow the money. And when you follow the money usually generates back to a skill. And I'll say this. Now our kids are on TikTok. Now y'all remember when we were in school, the black kids made up all the dances. Now my little girl doing all these white go, like that's not us. Like you had your own variation because it was something that you saw visually that you took and then you made it your own, but then it was something to show to the other kids. And then on top of that, all of us have melanin in our body, but we have more of a concentration, which is what's called the God particle or the universal particle in the universe. The universe is always constantly moving. So you explain to me, us being black, us having the highest concentration of melanin, how the hell you gonna expect a black boy or black girl to sit in class, sit still for 90 minutes and listen to anything when they're always moving?
Yeah. I mean, I can't answer that question, but yeah, I can answer that.
Then they say we got ADD. Then we get on Concerta, which or Meditate, which is
that was never there. That was they knew exactly what that would. Yeah, never mind. My bad, Remy. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But that's one step molecule up from us cooking rocks. So they give us the Meditate and the Concerta or the Ritalin for the kids, and then the daddy pushing the heroin, or what we call the heroin. They pushing the heroin and pushing the dope.
You
Hey,
step in
next
heaven
week
now.
now.
You
He
walk in
going the
heaven.
next week.
You walk in heaven.
He going the next week now.
Okay.
But the dope was the equalizer.
Oh,
Next week about to be explosive.
it
I
is.
already know where Remy going next week.
Stuff, man.
We already talked about it. I know where he going, but let's stay here though.
But if y'all look it up in 2019, JP Morgan, their tanker got caught with 91,000 tons of cocaine on the tanker. Y'all heard about that?
Yeah, I knew about that.
Mhm.
Oh, okay. But that's the bank. So how the bank selling the dope?
Executives throughout all those branches, they know what's going on. They got.
Everybody use dope, baby.
I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
we
Everybody
know
use dope.
exactly how America was founded. Like we know about Rockefeller and his dirty shenanigans. We know about J.P. Morgan. Hell, all these people that were the founding fathers of America. You know, like they always talk about it. Like the mob. The mob got, infamous based off of bootlegging, having, prohibition on lock, buying off politicians, making sure that they have people in place to keep themselves insulated from any crime. Like no different than John Gotti when he became Teflon. At that point, he was a target on his back. They had to take him out. That's just like we've been discussing tonight. In order to take your position and hold on to it, you have to exert power, but then also keep dominance. Like that's really what it is. Like we've never been able to exert force and then remain dominant. Because
Y'all know when the cannabis industry first started in the last 20 years, do you know they wouldn't let the people who sold marijuana in California and Colorado not put their money in the bank? So they would have a militia. They would put their money in storage units like U-Haul places and have people out there with guns protecting their money. Like you got the strong arm. The infrastructure starts with. I'm gonna let that go.
Remy, come on. We got next week, man.
I'm gonna let that go, man.
All right, man. Let me get back to the subject of education. I have a short little thing I want to say, man. It basically what we all talked about with the whole STEM situation. I want everybody to realize, and it's real short, understanding that the revolution that they're in right now is a digital revolution. And what we have to understand is what's happening right now, it won't be about race anymore in a few years. It's going to be more about class that we spoke about yesterday. That's why I tell people all the time, if you do not teach your kids something technological or engineering or something medical, because if they will not survive in the future. You're going to deal with people that they call the permanent underclass, because what's going to happen in the next 5-10 years, there's a reason why a lot of billionaires are investing in robots right now. Those people, we always talk about people working at Amazon and warehouse workers, they're going to be gone. And my job right now is a government military company. What we have now, what we worked on is somebody like me behind the computer. I can operate a forklift now, and I can write a code that can tell how much time and what it's going to do and how much production it should do within that code. And it's going to move those boxes, ship them out, everything automated. So those thousands and thousands of warehouse workers, they're going to go somewhere. They'll get fired.
Bio, you're going to part 3, Bio.
Damn,
Going to part 3.
I'm sorry.
Going to
Y'all
part
better
3,
start
Bio.
playing the garden too. You better start playing the garden too, because this food finna be through.
He's speaking a lot of truth though, because even in my industry now in healthcare, like they actually have robots going through the hospital that are doing things from like blood pressure checks, they doing EKGs, they doing all this stuff after you check in for a damn physical.
Absolutely.
And robots.
Absolutely.
Artificial intelligence is on the rise, and guess what? It's already here in Atlanta, and they are testing it out in the hospitals here in Atlanta.
My bad. I'm going to stick to the 1900s, y'all. I'm sorry.
No. I'm just trying to save it because I know
But
where
the
y'all
United
are going.
States, the United States is still 76% exporting cotton. And the 13th Amendment gave them a free labor workforce in the jail system to make cotton.
I got a question for y'all. Skills. Do you think that inner city schools that are predominantly urban, that means black, are being taught the same skills that are in private schools, predominantly white schools? Because I'm from Albany, Georgia. There's 4 public schools. All right, white people still live in Albany. No white people go to public schools. All the high schools in Albany are black.
I mean, that's a question for speculation.
Wow.
I would say you would want to ask an educator to then know what the curriculums are, because I mean, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. I don't have kids to then tell you what they're teaching them in schools. I don't have kids, so I can't tell you.
Man, they teaching them that they can't perform. Those teachers down there aren't dealing with curriculum problems. They're dealing with home problems. They're dealing with the poverty rate. And the only thing there is to do is to work at Kegel's, Procter & Gamble, or go to Blaylock.
Well, you don't want to go to Blaylock.
Yeah.
And I mean, to the teacher's point, like they're already understaffed and underpaid. So
Definitely.
you're talking about increasing classroom sizes and then having to meet the demands of virtual. If anybody, is out there going to be a teacher, more power to you, kudos to you. But I'm trying to figure out why the hell would you do it? That's just me personally.
Bro, I feel like they finna start having school in the metaverse.
No, but they asking the parents to come in and substitute teach now.
Stop the madness.
So bad.
I forgot we in the present too. I'm talking about what we talking about next. My bad. I asked to wrap it up. Education. I'm guessing what you're saying. Well, it kind of leads into the next point. What I was going to ask. The last one we were talking about tonight.
Hold on, right quick, Jarrell. Where you going?
Go ahead.
If we're 13% of the population, which that's what they give us.
That's what they say, and continuing to drop. It's continuing.
Why we can't all be entrepreneurs? That wouldn't take away from the doctors and the lawyers in the medical field.
No, Remy. No, really damn well.
I know it's an extreme, but just go with my point. If we're 13%,
okay, no, Remy. Okay, so here's the thing. Like, we know what we know about our people. Right. Our people are not consistent. Our people do not get over the factor of fear before they can get up to the idea of thinking like, damn, this is really possible. So they stand in their own damn way and they make excuses for why this is not possible. So yes, we are 13% of the population, but the problem is they make the issue to be a mountain out of a molehill. Like, no, take that ish one step at a time. Yes, you're going to be told no, but guess what? A lot of people don't want to be entrepreneurs, bro. You want to know why? Want to know the number one reason why? Because they do not know if the time that they are investing will actually pay off. They do not know when and if they will actually become a millionaire. They do not know when and if whatever product, service, industry, whatever it is they are pushing will actually pop off. And it's
my point was just with.
I want to say something real quick. Someone said true. Broderick said true. Entrepreneurship takes capital.
I was about to get on that. At the end of the day,
No. I went to go with Pat, and I was only saying from a number standpoint. If we only made up 13, why we can't all be. Pat, you own a barbershop. At the early 1900s, if we stay there, the barbers were the doctors.
Mm-hmm. Alonzo Hunter was a millionaire. He created 3 barbershops in Atlanta.
So why we can't make the barbershop an urban clinic? Because one thing about us, we gonna go to the barbershop and the hair salon.
Laws and policies won't allow that stuff no more.
Well,
my bad. You talking about something else?
No. That's what I'm saying is that this is the structure that I'm talking about. Their policies are in place to keep us from able to exact any type of privilege that we can create on our own.
Right. And it's always gonna be like that.
It's because the people that we put in place were sold to us, even though they are bought by somebody else. Meaning, for instance, Biden. If you ain't black, the whole little shit he went on Power 105 and talking about if you're black, you should vote for me, X, Y, and Z. He pandered to us. That's what happens because we're not in place and position to then say, you know what? Nah, we need this legislation passed for our benefit as black people. We don't do it. So yeah, there are positions in place that keep us from actually extenuating what you said, that force and dominance. You're absolutely right.
Yep. But I would say, based on as far as the policies and everything else like that, a lot of times, a lot of the people that we're given a lot of politicians. You know what I'm saying? That's the problem. We really don't know nothing about the people or most of the people that's going in and actually making policies because we're not paying for them. That's kind of what I spoke on yesterday. If we put our money behind politicians, we probably get more movement than some sitting back and voting. Because the people who put the money to the politicians, they're getting their problem solved first. It don't matter what color they are. That dude who gave that mayor $75,000, he's getting his problem solved. Me voting for is kind of like what they call Reaganomics, the trickle-down effect. A lot of us as black people were hoping for a trickle-down effect that's going to bring certain change. But I'm telling you right now, you're not playing the game the right way. They're telling you how to play a game that they know those rules are not going to work. And I tell people all the time, at the end of the day, there are a lot of things we can do for ourselves. We do have a lot of independence and we do have certain freedoms. The problem with the black male, the black Negro today, we don't know what the hell to do with our freedom. So we don't have any guidebook or anything else like right now. So right now people just run around, and it started in 1900. It started in the 1900s. A lot of stuff happened when you have nowhere, you have your freedom, you don't know what the hell you're going to do with it. Chaos happens.
Well, there's no more OGs. And then when I say OG, I don't mean somebody in the gang. I mean they're old heads with knowledge and power to move the young. Man,
y'all disrespected the OGs if we're gonna talk about the real shit, because at the end of the day, let's be real. When it came to the OGs, we didn't listen to them. Because if we want to go as back, let's go back to hip hop. In 1991, Dolores Tucker and Betty Spaz had a conference. They talked about what the hell hip hop was going to happen to hip hop music. You know what Tupac said? He said, "Fuck Dolores Tucker." The lady that was sitting next to us in the conference, and we sat there and listened to a 22, 23-year-old talk about the state of hip hop music when these people knew in 25, 30 years what was going to happen to this music. So,
but if he had lived to be that age, he would have apologized.
But would they listen to Tupac now? Hell, fuck no. We don't listen to.
Would they listen to Tupac now? Yeah, they would listen to Tupac now.
No, the hell they wouldn't, because they didn't listen to the people back then.
I disagree, because
I'm gonna have to agree with Bio on this one.
Bro, they don't listen to us now. I'm 32, 33 years old. You can't tell these 16, 17-year-olds nothing. Look at Atlanta. They'll shoot you in your face because stepping on their shoe. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, you got to realize.
But they listen to Hove. They listen to Ross.
Because they're popular.
See, that's that. All right, so
no, we're not going there. We're not going there. We're not going there.
That's the present. That's the present.
I'm gonna go back to 1900. The point of what I'm saying, there's been levels and layers of disrespect that we've given to our older ancestors that we don't want to talk about. Because at the end of the day, there were certain people that we could have listened to.
I agree.
It could have been certain people that we listened to that we didn't give a damn about it because we wanted to have fun. And
the reason why I said that was because of us. Do you know how many young people scamming, and they have the capital but don't know what to do with it.
Bro, why are they scamming in the first place?
Because that's the American way.
But
it's the microwave effect. Like it comes.
No,
fast.
It's not even microwave.
They don't want a word.
Hold on. Wait. I know. Pat, last word. What you got to say about that? Or you got anything to say?
Those are some interesting points, and those are some good topics in regards to how we move the conversation to the next piece and the next topic. That next week gonna be really good. Hope y'all tune in. Hope y'all really enjoyed tonight's dialect and the conversation that we're having tonight. Only thing I got to add to that is, there's responsibility for us right now as millennials, because we are really the beginning of artificial intelligence. And when I say that, I'm talking about y'all remember how it was for you to get on AOL back in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Dial-up.
You had to have a phone that was connected to a jack to then download music. Bio, remember Napster, and you know how that how that went, and you know the pain you felt when a song you were downloading to complete a mixtape, so you can go ahead and dish it out to folks next morning, didn't complete. So guess what? You got a playlist that's missing 4 damn songs. You guarantee folks 15 tracks, and you only got 11. So now you got to double up on songs that was on the first part of the CD. Now it's on the end, and you looping it. Basically, what I'm saying is we sat there and watched what happened with the internet and how it went from your desktop to a laptop to your palm. To your palm. We literally saw that. So we know exactly what's taking place and what's going to happen. Like Bio said, we have to be strategic in understanding the art of war. They know us better than we know ourselves. It's time for us to take action to then look at, we've been playing chess the whole time, but we playing chess like it's checkers. We missing
I feel like everybody got a role to play.
Yeah, we are missing the objective, and that's why we keep ending up in the situation that we're in now. So ultimately, my point is this: if we pay attention to what's taking place right now, revisit history, we won't continue to be in these cycles. But the problem is, folks are not consistent and conscientious enough to do the work, to do the deep dive, to understand what's the manipulation that's taking place that keeps my people in the same situation. Social engineering is what's happening right now all over social media. They're manipulating us with all these memes, all these topics that go flooding in circulation. They push this banter across the genders and everything else that take place. They make us then focus on stuff that's clickbait to basically, like, to Byron's point, incite an emotion, because they know that emotion actually distracts us. And if you stay distracted long enough, you're not going to be productive. They know how to keep us counterproductive. If we can break that cycle of being counterproductive, we can unstoppable.
And I agree with him, because right now, the state of the Black community right now, if we want to talk about emotional state, we're filled with, it's like 4 things that we deal with right now. We deal with glamour, we deal with humor, we deal with trauma, and we deal with drama. Those are 4 main aspects of what's controlling the Black community right now.
Those are the things that's our culture. Those are the things that sell. Marvin Gaye wouldn't have what's going on if we didn't have trauma, we didn't have glamour. Michael Jackson wouldn't have been as big as he was if he didn't moonwalk.
But the point of what I'm saying, I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with half of that. Shouldn't be our main focuses though. Because what's happening right now is we're about games and play. When people look at us, they look at us for 2 things: games and play. They entertain us, they make us look good, they make us feel good. People are not coming to us with research programs to solve economical and world problems. That's what I'm saying. There's nothing
because they don't want us to have them.
No.
We haven't put.
Well, that's present.
Let me. Before Bio goes on, to Bio's point, and you've also said it too, Remy. Like, our scholars, the people that we actually should be looking to for information, we don't listen to them. We don't push them to the forefront to say, okay, when there's an issue that's been plaguing the Black community in regards to economics, we don't go and ask Dr. Claude Anderson. We don't go and ask him about the infrastructure for poweronomics. We don't go and ask Neil deGrasse about things that are then taking place in our solar system and how it's then affecting our ozone layer. We don't go ask and promote these great thinkers. We go and ask, like, an entertainer. They go and ask,
that has no clue,
an influencer, because they then think that those people speak for the majority of us, and they don't. Honestly, to Bio's point, if we were to big up some of the people that we've mentioned tonight, we could actually advance our culture by being active, by being products of a society that we then see to fit where our mindset is and what our expectations are. Problem with it is, Remy, like, you know what it's like to have your own business. You know what it's like to be told no. You know what it's like to get up and actually be disciplined in your actual path because you know what purpose is. A lot of Black men, we struggle with finding and identifying what purpose is and staying on it. A lot of Black men don't know what their purpose is. And that's actually a detriment to what we're seeing right now, because you got a lot of Black men who are lost and they wandering around and they're creating these families, and those families are already broken because that man does not identify with what his purpose and his path is.
And to speak on that point also, you said everything, Pat, and I think that's what the main issue that we realized that it kind of hit me right now. We don't know where the hell we going. You know what I'm saying? And it's not everybody should live on the same path, but I feel like we should all be doing a productive path. I feel like we got distracted so much with chasing the bag that we lost our goddamn minds. We felt like anything and everything needs to make money, but everything doesn't make sense. The problem is right now, a lot of things we're doing don't make fucking sense. And we see it every single day. So I think the biggest issue is that we have to start doing things that make more sense. Now, I'm not saying we could change 40 million Black Americans. That ain't gonna work.
We're tricked under the guise of that. If you don't have no money, you don't have no power.
No, but you want to know why they made us think that way? Because what they show us, they show us.
I mean, but it's the truth. I mean, as far as the system of capitalism.
Listen, capitalism works in a sense. Well, I'm gonna tell you the biggest thing that you can do to influence culture and change. If I control your mind, I don't need your money, Remy. At the end of the day, if you have all the money, and I could sit here and make you build something, and I convince you it's good for my society, I don't need money. I'd be broke.
I totally agree, but that what I'm saying is, like, free thinking.
Yeah,
I totally agree. But without any type of substance or any type of anything backing that free thinking, it's just a thought or a dream.
But that's when you control it through your actions. You change your actions. At the end of the day,
okay, like for instance, if Rick Ross got on the next album and say, "Hey, I'm going vegan," then everybody finna go try to be vegan. If he say, or if Shaq say, or I own 155 guys, then now.
Question, Remy. Do you think a thought or a goal can come to fruition without money?
Not in America, no.
What you say?
Why not?
A thought or a goal.
Because that's why they got crowdfunding.
Money.
I thought a goal can be money. I'm sorry.
No, can a thought or goal come to fruition without money?
Not in America.
It happens every day.
Yeah. Okay.
Depends on
okay. Let me explain.
That's what I'm saying. I disagree on that.
I'm gonna give Remy an easy point. Everything that we operate and everything we use right now came from a thought. Now, as far as operating without money, okay, I get that part, right? But I say it does take capital investment, but it takes research more than anything. Now, everything on this earth, let's be honest, everything's really free. If we want to be honest, everything's really free. We created a system of government. There's no fucking animal in the world who wakes up in the morning and says, I got to go work to feed my family. You know what I'm saying? But the point is the system we live in now, I agree with that part, Remy. We do need money to make certain changes, but I'm telling you, the biggest thing we need to do is get into these people's minds. Now, like you said, if Rick Ross came in and said, hey, I'm going to be vegan, I'm going to start eating healthy, then Hov said it, and Nas said it, and all these influencers, look what the biggest problem we just said right now. Why the fuck are we naming rappers?
Because they got the money.
But they're not the only ones with the money. They're just popular.
They are the only ones with they're the only ones with the with listen.
Remy.
Wait. One at a time. Go on, finish what you gotta say about it. Finish what you gotta say.
I'm done. Remy, I want you to look up the richest black people. I want you to find the richest people in the world and look up their list. I promise you will not know 90% of the motherfuckers. You don't.
Listen. So me, Remy, I probably do.
Well, okay,
the average person
would not know these people on the list. I can name 10 people right now that nobody even know who they are. And I know the STEM community.
The entire Russian oligarch. You know, it's not enough money in America that have this much bread as they got. The Koch brothers.
They make us think that the entertainers and athletes got all the money, and they don't, bro.
But that's not. But people who really follow money don't believe that.
We're not educated
because listen.
Wait, real quick. Remy, are you saying because they have money and influence, or are you just saying because they have money?
So they have a platform that is backed financially.
So you saying not just the money, it's also the influence.
I mean, you got listen, man.
Listen, Remy.
If I can write to a contract for 40 million, then how much money I got?
That boy getting passionate. That boy knock this camera out the way.
Remy.
Because listen, hold on.
All right.
Meek Mill got out of jail, right?
Man, I don't want to talk about no rappers, man.
But see, you see.
No, I'm finished. I'm playing, Remy. Go ahead, man. I'm playing.
Black entertainment has been the main black cash cow since the 1920s. So that's why I'm gonna stay there, because that's what they capitalize off the most.
All right.
So we should listen to these people?
No,
that's not what I'm. Listen,
Go ahead, back. Hold on.
No. To Remy's point, Sam Cooke did fund, the start of a certain movement. I'm not sure if y'all seen the movie One Night in Miami. That basically talks about the brotherhood between Jim Brown, Muhammad Ali, Sam Cooke, and Malcolm X.
Didn't they kill Sam Cooke? They killed Malcolm X?
They took Sam Cooke out because he was the one bankrolling basically Malcolm in his situation and also helping Ali.
Because it's been a hard life living. He was singing, wasn't it?
Because when he came out and said, "Yeah, I'm joining the actual Nation of Islam," that hurt his stock. So everything else. So he's right in regards to, okay, yeah, some of these artists, they do have money and also influence. But the point that I would challenge Remy to think about is not every artist can sign another artist and say, "I'm gonna give you 40 M's." Like it ain't. It's.
But that's not what I was talking. When I said 40 M's, I was talking about the football players.
I know, but what I'm saying is, like, there are certain artists that do and can do that. Like, we just saw not 40 M's, but we just saw Moneybagg break off a few artists. We just saw Yo Gotti.
Well, what I was gonna say, Meek Mill got out of jail. Meek Mill got out of jail. He had $3 million. Now, if you saw him, I posted it maybe not even 2 months ago. He was on a picture with 15 billionaires. Mm-hmm. The wife of Alibaba, Robert Kraft, Jay-Z. Now Meek Mill up like 30 or 40. And like, you got to follow the money. And I'm not talking about 5, 6, 10, $15 million. Like Rick Ross said on Earn Leisure interview, he said, well, how much money do you really need for it to matter? He's like, oh, well, you just need $1 million. He said, if you ain't got $15 million, you should be scared, because $1 million is not money. It's not money. It could be gone today. Shit, I lost $500,000 in February 2020 because China was closed and I had to prepay for orders 6 months in advance. So that's it.
Take your time.
Yeah, take time, bro. Take time, Pastor.
Passionate, boy. Passionate.
But no,
I know where you're at, bro. I know where you're at, because it's a conversation where your experiences now resonate with what we're talking about. So I know, bro. You're gonna see me passing in a few weeks. You don't. I know.
The point what I'm saying is,
he can get passionate.
I'm not doubting what Remy says.
Sure.
What he's talking about, the capitalism part, is very important. What I'm talking about, the part is the average individual. This dude in this group named Raymond right now, this dude could program his ass off. The point of what I said, let's take your example, Remy. Let's say you take an average man, a group of programmers, and that situation happened to you in February. If I wrote a program that can query the whole internet to find the inventory people who can back up that order and split it out into 20 different and put 100 different orders in a matter of 5 minutes with 20 different organizations to fix your issue with the inventory, that is more powerful than Alibaba or any Chinese company.
Okay, but right now,
it's happening every day.
But no. What I'm saying is that group of programmers they don't have a cartel objective, because they're not. No, that's not my point. Okay. On the Facebook, he had Mark Zuckerberg had all those programmers in the room, all those coders in the room coding, and said, y'all have to do such and such for you to get a job at Facebook. You have the programming and the coding may not be my thing. I think the CEO and owner of Alibaba said, I know a lot about a little bit, but I don't know everything that everyone who works for me does. But the thing is to have the money and the know-how to get everybody in one room to work together. And what we don't do as a community is everybody has a strength. So if financial literacy is something that we're not good at and we don't have no money, we got to get the bag first, and then put those people that you talk, those STEM people, those STEM children, like my daughter and other children, we have to curtail their thinking to be, number one, Black national. You got to be a Black nationalist first. Everything got to be Black. And then we structure their lineage to go in that space with the financial backing, so we can get our agendas passed, because they could be smart as fuck. But if they're not working towards the liberation and the agenda of our people, then they lost.
And I like the dynamic. Like I said, I just want to say something. I like the dynamic we got going on right here, because we actually have an entrepreneur mindset coming from an actual IT on the ground bio mindset, also mixed in with the also entrepreneur / in the workforce, Pat, with also another entrepreneur, T Baby, who's also in the workforce. So you actually have a different little mindsets and come from different places. Now basically get into the same place, but at a different route.
A different route.
And the point
that's why you got to staff your weaknesses, like Remy said. You got to get the money so you can do that.
And I fully agree with him. And I like I said, what you just explained is perfectly what the average people can do. If I knew about Remy's problem, I said, Remy, you need problem inventory. Bet, like you said, the money. Now you said I'm projected to lose $500,000. Bio, I'm going to give you $1,500. Can you find somebody who can run a program where my inventory, if I lose it, I can find a query of where these different parts I need? I'm like, all right, cool. You may need some medical pieces with what you're ordering. Hey, Pat, you work in pt1 hospital. You know about hospital pieces. We are just average people. We're not rappers. We're not rich people. We're not none of that. What I'm saying, the power of the average person and a coordinated mind can produce so much more. So I agree with you, Remy, but what I'm saying in general is that there's so much you can do. And like you said, with your child, the STEM kids and everybody else, you got to take the people who can think abstractly, put them together. And it may not take money. I'm almost done, Remy.
Yeah, I ain't gonna cut you off. I just wanted to let you know I had something.
It may not take money originally, but it's kind of like what Pat said before. They have to see the 5-year plan. They have to see the 10-year plan because that's what everybody else is doing. China has a plan called China 2025 right now. You can't go against nothing in China right now. If you live there, there's certain things they block out certain websites because until 2025, they want to be the world's #1 dominant power.
And that's exactly how we were as a people in the 70s. Now listen, do y'all think we would be in the same space that we in as a people if this SBA shit would have happened with the black people that were in the 70s?
Say that one more time, your phone broke up. The thing broke up.
Like how they just gave away the SBA money, the 10,000. Some people got 300,000, 500,000, 2 million, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
If we had the same, I'm gonna call it the stick together. If we were as tight as we were in the 70s, and we for the agenda, for the cause, fight the power, do you think we'll still be in the same situation we're in now?
Hey, no.
If our folks had got that type of money, then
I think it's possible, but not probable. But yeah, I see
it's definitely it's possible, but it's definitely not probable. And why I say that is when you had the Frank Lucases and the Nino Browns running around,
a whole bunch of them.
Their entire area where they were.
But I get that point, Remy, but I think that we have to think about the negative aspect also. If you give that much money to people when it comes to the drug area, you're going to have a lot more Frank Lucases go around. It's going to be a lot of death, murder, and drugs being distributed everywhere.
I don't know why we take such a strong connotation, like a negative connotation to, and I'm not glorifying that. But the pharmaceutical industry is the #1 industry in the world.
Oh yeah, they push everything, even fast food.
Well, pharmaceuticals kill you too, just like drugs.
And do
Pharmaceuticals is that's so what I'm
drugs.
the connotation is there with the drugs because it also it perpetuates another problem that they always use to then say, well, look at them, black on black crime. You know what that does? So it's just like
it ain't no such thing as black on black.
Absolutely, because you kill by proximity. So
proximity,
my thing is like, it's a slippery slope. Because I understand your point. Like 1,000 exponentially, because I can tell you, like, there's plenty of stories where they were like, y'all ain't gonna pull this off. I'm like, bitch, please watch me. and we did. Yeah. But my thing is, like, we gotta really reshift that mind frame, that mindset back to what you keep talking about, like that whole identifying with where we trying to go. And ultimately, my thing is, like, I mentor 2 young black men, and I tell them all the time when I talk to them, I'm like, really think about your future. Think about how you are living today and how you then want to live in the future. Look at your surroundings. You need to be up on your self-awareness. So at that point, you know how to pivot when decisions come that then may alter how you live and look in the future. You got to learn how to pivot. So there are a lot of things that I didn't take into account when I was going through college, like they're freshmen in college. So my main thing to them is, hey, identify with where you want to go in the future and then try to get some experience right now. So over the summer, you already got one, you're coupling your experience with the idea of where you then want to go, but you can then shift and pivot before you actually get to your core classes for those degrees. So at that point, you're not wasting time having to then go off and pivot in the middle of your junior year because you realize, I really don't want to do marketing. I would much rather do exercise science. So let's go ahead and get you some actual internships this summer, doing some internships with marketing consulting companies to, next summer, if you want to do something with physical therapy, we can arrange that too. But I'm putting them in those places so therefore they're able to think critically for themselves and then not be hindered by, okay, this is what you should do based off of what the agenda that they're pushing now right now.
Bro, do you know that when you go to school, when you go to college, do you know that's the only time they give you loan money without you having to? Like if we knew, and I didn't figure this out till my junior year in college.
Yeah,
because I was definitely using my refund check for the pack. But what I'm gonna tell you is this: those two guys that you're mentoring, if they got the max on their refund check and purchased a multi-family unit, and then use that first unit to by the time they graduate college had 10 units, then the residual income from their real estate will pay off their student loan. And they can still further their dreams in whatever field that they could be in, but you don't have to be in real estate to have real estate.
For sure.
And I sent a video to Jay the other day of Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, Warren Buffett. Bro, they own land that they own like 42 million acres, like that nobody ain't even seen.
It's ridiculous.
Like, and for us to live in Georgia is one of the most undeveloped states in the Southeast. It's land everywhere. Like Young Thug just bought that 100 acres. But that was one of the best things he could have did.
Speaking of what you're saying though, right now, if you think about it. Jim Crow, segregation. How far are we removed from segregation? What, 50 years?
50 years.
Nah, hell no.
30. How long we been? How long? What is it? 2022?
I mean,
that's been long.
My parents are 70, so
so if you think about it,
about 50.
We behind the 8 ball.
Bro, integration started in 1965, bro. My mom was born in
so we're not
50.
Basically, the point, we're not far removed.
No, we're not. Our parents are still here. So it ain't been that long, 50, 60 years.
We are just now giving back our youth that knowledge and information to actually do that. Think about it, like we have kids now, we're telling them that. Our parents didn't know that. They were just trying to get us to get to school. The main fold, get to college, military. College,
T-Baby from Thomasville, didn't y'all have separate proms?
Did we have what now?
Did y'all have separate proms?
See the deep.
No, I mean we had
out in the deep south.
No, we didn't have. Well, okay. So back then, like my parents were like the first class that was integrated. So my
hold on. I know people like our age that like Osceola, Albany, like Dawson. They got like the white people go to one prom and the black folks go to one prom, and this is maybe like 5 years old, 10 years old.
About Terra County?
I mean, not in Thomasville that I know of.
Okay, I mean Thomasville is close to Tallahassee, so it's more, I get it.
Yeah. But I mean, it's different parts of Georgia that still goes on.
But what I'm saying is that's still integration and segregation.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's still going on. It's probably Mississippi. You can't go.
It's still
Alabama, you can't go.
In the South.
In the South. Yeah. So that was my point, though. We're just now getting to the point where we're actually being able to actually give that information back to the next generation. Like we've learned, we went to college, we've learned the game. A lot of us have learned the game. Some of us still haven't learned the game, but we're learning. We're taking in the information. Like tonight, this is a prime example. People watching this are probably learn. Okay, dang, let me do this. Let me read this person. Let me listen to this.
Definitely learning a lot.
So we're just now being able to give that information back to our youth. So the next generation should be a little bit better than what we got till we reach the point where we're at. This is gonna get better and better. That's what I believe. I'm optimistic. I think it's gonna get better and better.
My grandma used to say each generation grows weaker and wiser.
Well, that might be
half and half. It's a half and half.
That might be true.
I definitely not saying that I'm pro crime or pro drugs, but what I'm saying is that we got to play the game how they play, or we got to force the hand for our agenda. Is my stance.
My final point is I always say it's always going to start with the mind, because the biggest and strongest people are not the people in charge of the world. They don't look like me. They're either skinny, fragile, fat, ugly, old, out of shape, and they're the most powerful people in the world. So, but the problem is they control the biggest and strongest people in the world.
We got money, mind, Pat T, what I got to say? Last thing.
I'm with Bio. It's your mind first. It's how you think. And so Amanda, so he thinking that's what he does. So I mean, that's where you can control everything. It's your mind. That's how you start with things.
Okay, let me ask you this: if all you know, if all you know is survival, then you're using your mind first, because every situation you come to is always you have lack. It's never you never have adequate anything what you need. So you got to be from the mind first, because how am I gonna make you? I mean, as being black, we got to make chicken salad out of chicken shit every day.
Yeah.
I'll say this, Remy, and a lot of people don't want to hear this. And it's very true in the black community that we need to talk about. A lot of our parents need to apologize to us.
Oh man, come on, man.
No,
that's a real thing.
No,
that's a real thing.
I'm gonna tell you why. Because
you walking heavy.
But I'm gonna say this, because at the end of the day, a lot of our parents put us in these situations that, like you said, they wasn't educated, or they made really, really bad decisions when they were younger that we were paying for as kids. And a lot of times, not many parents are going to sit here and say, "Hey, listen, Remy, I'm sorry that I made some fucked up decisions and got with your daddy who wasn't shit, who left you childless without a father, and you have all this trauma and problems." A lot of people, parents won't admit that. They'll say, "I'm working 2-3 jobs. I brought you in this world. I can take you out.
I'll take you out."
But I'm like, "Mama, you never finished high school when you had every opportunity, and you was bullshitting, and we could have had a better life." Or, "Daddy, why you didn't do this when you could have read certain books?" But at the same time, I get it. It is survival, but at the same time, it is also decision making, because if you can see it, that's why little black poor kids were jealous of the black rich kids, and they was beefing with those kids, not knowing their parents at the end of the day. And some of them just made different decisions in life. And it's fucked up that a lot of our parents won't apologize for us to tell us, "You are in this situation because of me and my decision."
Man, you can't be describing my life on this. On
Hey, listen.
I take care of my mom.
That's a whole nother topic, Bio.
That goes to planning parenthood too.
I'll go ahead.
Talk about that.
That's a lot, man.
Planning parenthood. Y'all, we keep going around and
that's gonna ruffle some feathers.
Children.
That's gonna ruffle some feathers.
I ain't got no kids.
We making families, quote unquote, but they ain't real families.
I ain't got shit to say about that.
It's happening, but it's happening today. Like,
okay, raise your hand. If you on this panel,
yes, it is.
And you grew up in a 2-parent home with parents that were legally married. Raise your hand if you're on this panel with a 2-parent home legally married.
But I'm saying it's the mindset also, because even look at what happened yesterday. We have a bunch of black kids and media sponsors and influence who are so happy about a singer named Rihanna who doesn't know any people who are pregnant. They're not even in a family. So what happens if they happen to break up? You know what's going to happen? Their child's going to be raised in a single family just because they got a lot of money don't mean nothing. They don't have. Now, I wish they would get married. I wish they'll build a billionaire family. Not even billionaire family with 2 structures.
Hello.
But just like Ho said, if the house burned down, I ain't leaving.
This is part 2 though, but this is part 2, and we will have.
All right, so I got something to say. I think we can go ahead and conclude it on this. To Bio's last point, for real, like it's. I'm experiencing this real time, like right now. What he's talking about is really setting yourself up to understand exactly where you're trying to go by breaking those bad habits and creating healthier habits. Like a lot of the things that our parents taught us were unhealthy. And that was just due to this is the ritual, or this is tradition, or this is just the norm that we do in our culture, but not really speaking on those things that impact those households. Like, okay, somebody's touching somebody inappropriately, but we're going to sweep it under the rug. Oh, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about how somebody's actually being beat on down the street, but we're not going to then expose them because, they take care of certain stuff for the community. Nah, we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the childhood traumas. We're going to talk about the adolescent trauma that still plagues our community, because it's important that we have these spaces to then address it, to then say, hey, you weren't the only one that experienced that.
Can't wait.
This is what helped me. Hopefully, me extending this conversation to you, it gives you that confidence to say, you know what, you can address your issues too. Whether they were, whether they were from, relationships that fizzled out, didn't work, relationships that were just not there, they were abandoned, whether you felt whatever it was, it's addressing those habits that now perpetuate us to be going down a path of detriment. So yeah, I hope that we all are looking to the next conversation, because we've hit on some topics and points that we definitely need to extend on and spend some time on next week and emphasize on. Because ultimately we have to decide where we want to go. And that's by having these conversations and then say, you know what, we can revisit this, but also establish what we're trying to do and move forward. So revisit history, continue to push in progress, but say, hey, this is how we go about this path with accountability, consistency, and being able to communicate and being completely transparent.
Absolutely.
Last thing I'm gonna say is 10 seconds, man. I want everybody to read a book if they get a chance. It's called Propaganda. It's by, some people may know about it, and some people, it's by a dude named Edward Bernard. He's actually the nephew of what's his name? Sigmund Freud. The book came out, I think, in 1930. If you read that book, the crazy thing about it, it's almost 100 years old. It explains everything that's going on today, you know. And it's called Propaganda by Edward Bernard. You can find it online. Just look at Propaganda, you'll find it. Edward Bernard, and it's a really good book. It ain't too long, but it's scary how much something from 90 years ago when somebody brought up exactly still happening again, just based off media influence and pictures and constant pushing of people's psychology of what they need them to believe.
Bio beat me to the punch. I was just about to ask. I was just about to ask him to actually name one person or a book that people need to look up, read, get a hold of with any suggestions. I asked earlier, like Pat, or asked, last week.
My book suggestion and recommendation from tonight is going to be The New Jim Crow by Michelle Alexander. And also my person of emphasis, bio shouted about earlier, Alonzo Herndon, one of the first Black millionaire in Atlanta, first, mainstream barber here, established 3 barbershops in the city, and serviced and, provided skills and opportunities for those men to service other men in the community. That's what we know our barbershop is based on, is, providing opportunity, continue to expand and expose these people to a surplus of clients, and also showing them what elegance in the barbershop is. Full service barbershop, full service salon, located in the Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport.
I will get all these.
Remy, you gotta take us home, Remy.
I'm gonna get all these books and names. So if y'all wanna, I know y'all ain't gonna be able to remember all this. I'm gonna get all these books and names. I'm gonna put it in the group tomorrow.
I'm gonna have to add my book at a later date, because I can't pull one right off because I read a lot.
We got time. I'm gonna put it off. I'm gonna put up a list up.
We got a whole month
to take us home.
You can name a person, book, somebody.
I think us as a people are the little teardrop of God. I think we're the greatest thing ever placed on this planet. The world moves off of our thoughts, our expressions, our words, our money.
Remember about that money. About that money. Remy is about that money.
Get to the bag.
I'm with it. Get to the bag, man. Black appetite.
And our the powerful weapon that we have is Black women. And they weaponize that. When it's time to vote,
They coming out for.
they use it. What my girl? That Kemp cheated.
Stacey
Abrams.
Man, let me tell you something. Do you know how dangerous you got to be to go pull up 1 million people to go vote?
She did that now.
1 million people, bro. Like,
turn the blue
I don't
state.
know.
All right, man.
I don't know, man.
But yeah,
because I'm trying not to talk about stuff for next.
Yeah. I understand. I just want to wrap it up, man. We've been on here about 2 hours. I appreciate everyone coming on here, everyone on the panel. Bio, Pat, C Baby, Remy. I appreciate y'all definitely. with this information, sharing insight on all this different stuff. Really appreciate it. I know everybody on the chat appreciate it. This will be on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to the Wait On It podcast on YouTube.
Hey, we can't see the chat though, bro.
I know you can't, but it's okay.
Oh.
You could
We
have.
gonna save it so we can.
You'll better go back and look at it. You'll better go back and look at it. But
check.
make sure you subscribe to the Wait On The podcast on YouTube. This will be uploaded on there. Part 1. Next week, man, we got Christopher Pugh coming on. Doctor Christopher Pugh coming on here with us, man. And hopefully we might add on one more person to the panel. And we're going to be talking about where we're at now, the present. And they alluded to a lot of different stuff, man. I think next week we're going to get a little heated. Not going to lie to you. We'll get a little heated next week because
I'm ready.
Where we at right now? We in a bad place. I ain't gonna lie to you.
I'll tell you where we are. We distracted.
Right about that.
I'll expand on that next week.
Yes, sir. But once again, distracted. Like I said, please subscribe to the Wait On The podcast on YouTube. Share this live. Well, you can't share this live, but you can share it on YouTube. It's gonna be uploaded this week. Appreciate everybody. I have a good evening.
Get a shirt made to say distracted.
Distracted. Hey, make me one
y'all
too.
next week, man.
I got you.
We're gonna put that book list up too. So look out for that. Appreciate
Good
y'all.
night, y'all. Tonight.
Good night.
Good night.
Mm-hmm.